What is up, guys? Welcome back to A Talk on Titan. This is our breakdown of the newest episode, which is episode 27, Retrospective of Attack on Titan. The final season is coming to a close, or at least we think it is. Joining us today, we have a very special guest. It is Mickey, all the way from the Normies channel. Mickey, how are you holding up this Sunday?
What's going on, man? Having a good Sunday, dude. It's been a really busy weekend for us, but yeah, it was Sundays. I just look forward to it. You get to close it off with Attack on Titan, and it's such an exhausting show that you fall asleep right afterwards.
It takes you right out. Seriously. I'm super excited to get into this with you, man. Obviously, this episode, as I said before, is jam-packed, action-packed episode leading up to the finale of Attack on Titan, because we don't know what's actually going to happen yet.
Right.
But we have to get into this episode. But before we do, I kind of want to briefly jump into your Attack on Titan history, as far as how'd you get into the show and where in the show did you start? So are you like a season oneer, season twoer?
I am actually a season oneer, yeah.
Nice.
So I'm actually the one that got everybody hooked on the show. So I'd actually seen season one since before the channel even started. I was in art school at the. I'm actually trying to remember exactly who told me about it. I feel like it was like people from school, because like it was in the conversation at that time. So I checked it out, and of course you fall in love with it immediately. That first episode is so intense, there's no way you're not going to the second one. So I'd been talking about the show for a long time, and I finally just sat Serge down, and I was like, we're watching this, and we're gonna watch one episode. If you don't like it, I'll never bring it up again. And we watched it, and that's that.
That's amazing, man. Yeah, I'm also a season one. Not quite day one, but definitely season one guy. I think I started like episode 16 or 17, and I had to go back and watch the previous episodes. But right away,
but yeah,
it hooks you right away. It's incredible how that pilot is just one of the best pilots of all time.
So good, and it's been such a long journey. Like it just, and that's what makes these like later episodes like so satisfying. Like if you have been in the timeline since like way back then, like my God, the payoff is just amazing.
The waiting is insane. Like the fact that they've been in this for years and years is kind of, it's just mind blowing to think that it's been that many years, and the fact that we might have to wait even more years for a potential movie.
I'm fine with it. As give them the time they need, because we'll get into it. The animation was incredible tonight, but it felt a little choppy in parts.
Okay.
Because it feels like some of the in-between frames were missing, but that's just how much stress the animators are under. So like, I'm fine with it, if they take their time with the movie, like give them all the time they need,
Yeah, I feel this exact same way, especially after this episode, because I can't lie, this episode was definitely like a really exciting, action-packed episode. Last week, we got quite a bit of an emotional journey when it comes to Armin and Connie, but for this week, we got more of the action that Attack on Titan has been known for moments in certain episodes. So let's jump right into where this episode started off, which is Annie and Reiner holding off the Jaegerist squad, which I think it was kind of wild to have this intro, because there's not too many times that we've seen the ODM gear as villains, like as 100% villains. So it's kind of interesting to see the same weapons that we used to cheer on. I remember, I think it was episode 6 of season 4, part 1, where the ODM gear like zooms by the camera, and it right away, it just brings in like this energy of like, yo, those are my homies. And in this episode, you're just like, oh, slap those guys away.
Yeah. It's wild, man. It's the moral dilemma that this show has left us with this season is like, you're not really on, like, no side is a good side. No option is a good option. But yeah, it's so conflicting, because you think back to season 1 when Annie, when she was fighting the scouts in the forest, and she's just like splatting them against trees, and it was just so brutal. And now essentially the same thing is happening to the same people, but now it's just like it feels different. I don't disagree with like the Jaegerist, because like that everybody thinks they're doing the right thing, you know, like everybody thinks they are on the side for humanity. So you can't blame anybody for doing what they're doing, but it's just like, yeah, it's so conflicting. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. But we get into the more crucial part of the episode, which is the discussion between Hanji and Magath finding out that they cannot get the flying boat up and running until at least half a day. Hanji points out that that is destroying 600 kilometers, I think is what she said.
Yeah.
And she said that pretty much all of Liberia will be gone and that the Titans will destroy the entire world in 4 days if they keep going at the same rate they're going.
Yeah. I think she mentioned Marley too. So Marley and
Marley's gone. Yeah, that's what she
Liberia,
said too.
which is so crazy because it's like kind of happening off screen. Have you read? I'm not a manga reader. Like
I haven't know.
Yeah. So, you know, I wonder how much time was spent on this, like if we saw any of that destruction, because we haven't seen, you know, we haven't caught up with the rumbling again in a while, but I had no idea that like how fast it's moving. Like when they finally mentioned it, you know, it's faster than a galloping horse. That's just why, I mean, it makes sense. They're big, huge things taking big ass steps, but like, I don't know. That's wild. That's just scary.
It's terrifying because I really thought that the underwater of it all was going to slow them down a lot. Like I was like, Titans walking underwater, that's going to take forever. That's going to be like a year. But apparently not, and apparently they can walk pretty fast underwater. But how do you feel about the ticking clock of it all? Because I feel like that introduces like a whole new aspect of like Hanji being like, every minute we waste is literally hundreds, if not thousands, dead.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know what they're going to be even able to do once they do catch up with them. You know, like, is this a fool's errand? Like, you know, like, are they going to be able to even do anything? But yeah, I mean, the tension that they're building is just, it's so, few shows give you that edge of that seat feeling, and this one delivers that feeling like episode after episode, whether it's through the intense action that we saw or this conversation taking place. Like the tension is just always there. And yeah, I mean, I think the next episode we're gonna catch up with the rumbling and see what the hell is going on. But like, there's no way that it's ending in the next episode.
No way. No way.
There's no way.
I really do feel like they purposefully haven't showed us anything of the rumbling or Liberio for some sort of reason. I don't know what it is. I don't know if that's like maybe something miraculous happened. Maybe the Titans just skipped over Liberio.
It kind of makes it kind of makes the opening sequence for season 4 part 1, like where all like the bombs were going off in color. You know, that's kind of, I don't know. This show does, you know, foreshadowing really well too. So
that's a really good point. Also, Azuma B2 mentions that her backup plan is to take the flying boat to the coastal city of Odija. She says if they can get it there, they can get it up and running, but it'll be a gamble, which Hanji is like, Erwin. This is my Erwin moment when Azuma Bito mentions gamble. And then Annie and Reiner protect the Azuma Bitos from getting attacked from the Thunder Spears. I thought it was wild to see the Thunder Spears, the same weapon that Hanji was like, yo, this is my shit. This is the Thunder Spears. Yeah. Is now the same weapon that is being used to like obliterate them so much.
Yeah. And Surge, like while we were reacting, Surge mentioned that, like, you know, Annie doesn't really have any experience with the Thunder Spears. So like it was an intense fight because Annie's kind of doing what she's doing, but Reiner has this extra weight of like, oh shit, she has no idea what these things are capable of. And so he's taking a lot of the hits for her. But yeah, the Thunder Spears returning. There's just, you know, I love all the callbacks that they're giving us. Even in terms of the action, it just felt very classic, you know, Attack on Titan. And it's ending really strong. It's ending really strong so far.
Yeah, I also like the idea of like the Titans protecting people at the bottom. That's another thing I don't think we've ever seen. It felt very video
like
gamey.
How Reiner was like covering them. Dude. Yeah,
and Annie too, like just covering as like walking around and trying not to step on them and covering.
It's
and
just so crazy, like the hodgepodge group of like, you know, it's so realistic. It's just whoever's left and willing to do, you know, the right thing. And it, you know, alliances don't really matter anymore. Like where you come from doesn't matter anymore. It's just like, we got to do this. We got to put some shit aside and just get this done, you know?
One detail that I did like too that I had in my notes was that Hanji the entire time was trying her hardest to kill Flock. She was like, "I'm gonna kill this dude if it's the
And
last thing I do."
respect to Flock, honestly, he has,
Yeah,
and I don't think that he's dead. I don't think that he's dead because he was shot.
I was gonna ask that too.
Yeah, he was shot in the shoulder and he fell into the water. And I feel like it's just like the rule of cinema. We didn't see him die. You know what I mean? I think he's gonna come back, but I mean, he almost did it, dude. If that thunder spear would have hit that boat, and he kind of had an Irwin moment this episode too. He kind of gave that similar speech where he's like, give it, like he's pretty much leading his squad into the last battle. So it's like he kind of had that. I love how elements of Irwin are still around, like you can still feel his influence in everybody that he came across.
Yeah, I definitely feel like he feels like he's the next Irwin, even though I feel like it's definitely Hanji. And that's who he wanted to be the next Irwin. He literally said, "Hanji, you are my successor." Yeah, so I love that Irwin is still part of it for sure. Go ahead.
Oh, for sure. It's crazy because, like, in our comment section, there's a lot of people that are just like, no, I can't believe you guys are not agreeing with Flock or not seeing what Flock is trying to do. And I'm like, I get what he's trying to do, but it's also very transparent that he's like drunk with power and like, whatever his plan of government is, I don't think it's going to be good, So like, yeah, he is kind of doing like, let's genocide people before they genocide us. But like, let's say he succeeds, whatever government he puts up after that is not going to be a good situation. So like, I don't know. It's crazy how you end up reacting and what you agree to. And then you read the comments and people are just like, just Eren Yeager all the way, which I get it. He's been our boy, but like, that's kind of the beauty of this show is like he became the villain. It's kind of what Game of Thrones was trying to do. I feel like
it's kind of hard. I'm gonna be mean. I'm sure I'm gonna get comments on this video too, but it's kind of hard for me to like accept that people don't get how this is being framed. Like I don't know how you can look at a Flock and be like, that guy's a hero. Except for maybe one moment this episode, but like the other episodes, the guy's like kind of a sociopath. And he even said it last week. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna kill everyone and everything's gonna go down in hell, but at least we'll be the last ones like alive. It's kind of his whole reasoning, which is a terrible reasoning. Like I'm so past the Jaegerists, like at a point where I'm just like, I'm so against the Jaegerists now that I'm like, no, man, I don't get it.
How would you have felt if Eren just did like a limited rumbling, if he didn't go all the way, like would that have been more agreeable?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think there was even a way to even avoid, I still think there's a way to even avoid doing any type of like rumbling or death, right? Like what if he does partial rumbling and unleashes the Titans all around the island, but leaves them there, almost like statues all around the island. And he kind of says, hey, if you want to come at me, I'll unleash them. But for now, they're standing guard. And you can have that be more intimidating and you don't have to kill anyone. You can just have the threat of killing someone and say like, hey, don't do it. Otherwise, I'll unleash these guys.
I just like in that moment, he just, I don't know, man. He just, I can't believe he just went all the way with it. Cause like it's, not everybody in the world is evil. And like everybody keeps saying that if we don't kill the world, that they're gonna come back and kill us for sure. Like, but it's not for sure. It's not for sure. It probably will happen. It likely would happen, but it's not for sure. But I mean, that's a big gamble. But oh god, what is that? I'm so bad with character names, but the lady yeah, she was like captured by Flock, right? So she's there and she's a world leader from like a different place, and she's caught up with this like ragtag group now. So I feel like she might be a voice on the world stage to be like, hey, like I don't know, I feel like she might play a role of like, hey, I saw both sides banding together to end this. Let's just squash all the beef, like if we ever get to that world stage conversation. I don't know.
Yeah, I still feel like there's a way to do it. Obviously, it's a little bit far-fetched now, but I feel like later on in the seasons or in the finale, we could see a potential, some sort of pact or peace for whoever's left, because it doesn't seem like there's going to be a lot of people left, or even Marley left for that matter. So maybe that's your biggest threat anyways. But there's definitely a way to do it for a peaceful action. At least I think so.
I mean, if they're pretty much confirming that Marley's done, I mean, like LD, then they're both kind of done. Like it was Eldia and Marley that were like causing all the problems, throughout history. So if they're both kind of damaged each other enough now. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how the rest of the world will feel about it. It's like, well, if we can stop the rumbling, I don't know. I really don't know. This show could be dark enough where it just goes all the way. Like,
I agree, and I hope not, but I definitely feel like it definitely can for sure.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the unleashing of the Jaw Titan, the new and improved Jaw Titan, which is Falco's Jaw Titan. How did you feel about the look, the design, the vibe of what Falco has with the new jaw?
I love the new character design. It was so badass. I love it. I loved it's just crazy to see the evolution from Ymir to Galliard and now Falco, and like him running into battle. I mean, it's the same thing Aaron would have done at that age. Like that conflicting moment he had is like, I have this power, but I'm not doing anything with it, and people need my help right now. But yeah, it was cool, man. I really like the new design. Yeah,
it has like actual like, it looks like an actual falcon, right? With like an actual like snout and feathers. And I'm like, how does he do? Does he subconsciously say to himself like, I'm gonna be a falcon jaw? Like, I don't know how that works.
I don't know. Yeah, that's because it's interesting because you can see like elements of like the past designs of that Titan. So like yeah, it is curious like how it evolves or like how it chooses to manifest.
Yeah, because I always felt like the Beast Titan was like the one that maybe your subconscious can influence the look of it. And maybe that was the opening of season 2. I've never gotten confirmation on that. Obviously, I don't read the manga.
Oh yeah, the opening where like they're showing like the glowing hearts and everything
of the dinosaurs and like the giant like rhino and the alligator, and I always assumed those were past Beast Titans. And that were like lit, and that the Beast Titan now was designed as a monkey because Zeke liked monkeys. But maybe if you really like rhinos, you could be a giant rhino.
Gotcha. Yeah, I never thought about it that way. Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's why he's like running alongside them. Right. But I never got confirmation on that. I thought that Falco was going to get the Beast Titan and be an actual giant ass bird or a falcon. But he kind of did it with the jaw. And he definitely went off with it too. With this episode, he started snapping with it.
It seemed like he was under control while it was all happening, and then once he attacked the cart Titan, then you're like, oh shit, anything could have happened. Like that could have went like very wrong.
Yeah, I thought for sure she was a goner. I thought I might even go that way, where he accidentally eats her just in his blind rage.
I could see the show doing that. Yeah, I kind of thought that was coming too. I was like, there's they don't mess around with consequences. They're very, very,
especially Peak. Like, as much as we love Peak, she's definitely the most expendable one out of the Titans left, like compared to Annie and Reiner, because she's the one we've seen the least of. So I was like, ooh, maybe Peak might go, but obviously, Magath stepped in and saved the day. But I definitely want to get to Flock's final moment, as we said before. Because as much as I hate Flock, I got to be honest, he went out like a G.
It was badass, dude. Yeah.
He literally was like, this is all me. And he started like just snapping, like diving through the jaw and the cart and and Hanji. He like battled Hanji like halfway through.
And then Gabby comes in with the no scope 360 again.
Gabby again with that clutch shot.
Man, she's had some really clutch shots this season. Yeah, but yeah, no, 6. I mean, yeah, like I said before, I mean, like, say what you will about Flock, but he was a definite badass this episode. Like the rousing speech that he gave, and then that moment. I mean, he was inches away from like totally ruining that boat. And then I wonder what would have happened. I wonder if they would have gone for the other boat at that point. I think so.
Yeah, I think that's what the plan would have been.
That would have been way harder.
Way harder. Because at that point you're already like wasted your energy and you wasted so much time.
Right.
So it would have been tough for sure. But speaking of badasses this episode, oh my God, Mikasa. she
Oh, man.
snapped.
Oh,
She went
dude.
straight up berserker mode and like
Dude.
guts all over everyone.
How they
Uh,
ended that sequence with the thunder spear, I was like, all right, Mikasa, that was overkill. They were already dead. Like one guy was headless, the other guy had been stabbed. Like I was like, that was man, that yeah. I think the Ackerman took over in her, you know.
it was like she was like the Grim Reaper, like
Yeah.
Jason. Like nothing could stand in her way. She kept like wiping everyone out, and in
Yeah.
like a deadly fat, like literally point blank
Yeah.
shots. Like I have my gun pointed at your head, and she still dodged it and sliced her head off.
And again,
Uh,
these were comrades, you know, like
yeah.
so, and she was just doing it with such ease. I feel like she just turned off her mind in that moment, and yeah, it was really cool to watch. But then you kind of it soaks in what's actually happening, and then it's kind of hard to watch because you're like,
Oh
God,
yeah.
she's just doing it so effortlessly, like you know, I don't know.
Oh, my first time watching it, I definitely didn't feel like the cool factor of it.
Hmm.
I definitely felt like the more heavy factor, where it's like this is Mikasa really like begrudgingly having to become a monster when she doesn't
Right.
want to be a monster.
Yeah, when
Uh,
the blood is like raining on her, and she's
yeah,
just like looking back, and then she looks to the camera.
yeah. No, she
Dude,
looks
she was
at the
scary. She was
at
scary.
the other Jaegerist, and they all run away. You can hear
Yeah,
them
yeah, they're like,
screaming.
"Fuck that." Yeah.
They're like, "Hell no! Give me Annie and Reiner and all the Titans, but not her."
You know,
Uh,
that's another thing this show does really, really well is the facial expressions on
mm,
the soldiers in a fight. Like even soldiers that don't get a lot of focus, but oh god, there was like a blonde girl that like
oh
she
yeah,
in her
that
last
John picked.
shots, like you could just the animation on her face, like you just know like she doesn't want to be there, you know. Even I even think back to Irwin's last, you know, barrage and towards the Beast
Mm,
Titan, and they kind of cut frame to like different soldiers on the horses, and you could like they were yelling, but their faces were like, "I'm dead. This is it. I don't want to
terrified.
be here." You know, like they do the terrified look on people so well, and it just it tells so much without having to like script it, you know. It just visually it just says so much.
Yeah, it really is. Obviously, Mappa being such a great animation studio now, with all the success they've had with these two animes, especially Jujutsu Kaisen and Attack on Titan. But the way they do that and the way they express details and faces is remarkable.
Hmm.
But yeah, Mikasa just going off and just having like freaking blood rain on her and
She
blowing
was
people up was insane. I really do feel like she is the scariest one there
yeah, yeah,
because you could maybe dodge a Titan, but Mikasa's so fast that you can't dodge her. Like you
right.
just can't avoid her. Uh,
And we were debating because you know but I don't want to jump ahead, but like you know what Annie asked her later is like, are you gonna
mm,
flinch when the time comes? And like I kind of feel like her relationship with Aaron, I feel like she's gonna hesitate, but then you know Chris made a good point that like the fact that she was able to turn it off and not hesitate this episode, maybe they are kind of slowly gearing it
hinting.
to, you know, hinting that she might not hesitate, you know, she might do what needs to be done. But I
Yeah.
don't know, man, that's so deeply rooted, like I feel like she's gonna hesitate. Like there's no way like a conversation or something doesn't happen, you know, like some words need to be exchanged.
I definitely feel
But
like words definitely need to be there, but at the same time, I do feel like they're slowly driving the point that our secret weapon is Mikasa, and
yeah,
not just as far as like talking to Aaron, but also killing Aaron. Like if
it's
there's anyone who's gonna kill him, it's her.
it's I mean, you know, the show has definitely been centered around those two, so I feel like it's poetic that it would come down to them. I
Yeah.
do feel like I feel like it's going to come down to between Aaron and Mikasa for sure.
And I think that's why they took Levi out of commission too. I think it was purposefully to like put that weight on her instead of on Levi, because Levi he's technically just as strong, if not stronger.
Oh
But
yeah,
now that he's
yeah,
out of commission, it's probably now on her, considering she's the next strongest that they have as far as a weapon goes.
for
Uh,
sure.
so damn, blessings towards her, because I don't know what's gonna happen with her character in the
Right.
finale. But then we cut to Keith coming in and revealing himself and showing that he is actually the one that blew up the reinforcements.
Yes, we were so confused, man. It was just like it.
Yeah, like who blew him up, right?
Yeah, which was
I kept saying like who blew up the train. I kept saying it over and over because they didn't reveal it to the last 2 minutes.
Right.
So, but Keith revealing himself to Magath, and I literally posted this on my Twitter, but I put the Spider-Man pointing meme. Like that's the same person.
Yeah.
Like they're the same character. Like Keith in general, they're literally the same. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's the same guy.
Man, what a sequence and what an ending for those two.
Yeah, it really is like a cool description of how like an older generation of military guys have to accept their fate and kind of live with the consequences that they dealt, whether it's Keith or whether it's Magath. Obviously more Magath because he's definitely the one who has a lot more sins to bear. But I feel like both of them kind of had that moment of like, we both effed up in our life and we both trained good kids. Now we have to like do this sacrifice in order for them to survive and for the next generation to live on and to have some sort of life in the future. So it definitely was a great ending. I love the sound design of it when they take out the sound of the explosion.
Oh man, and that track that was playing, it was just, man, that was a goosebumps moment for sure. And I love that they didn't know each other's names till that moment. You know, like that was so poetic, and what a good if there, it's just a good metaphor to just real life, because that's ultimately what needs to be done. The older generation needs to realize, we'll be the older generation at some point.
Yes, soon.
And oh shit, I think I'm getting some feedback here. Let me turn down my speakers. But I'm saying like every generation gets old, and every generation. Ooh, are you getting any feedback on your end?
No. Okay. I think it might be on your end.
Yeah, let me just turn this down a
little
bit.
No worries.
But yeah, like, I mean, things are different now socially for every generation, and it's a responsibility to kind of like change with the times. And it is a great metaphor because that's what needs to be done. The older generations are always going to have to make sacrifices for the new ones to go on, and that's such a tough thing to do because like it's not something you might ever consciously realize. So I think that was such a huge moment for Magath, this season, for him to that bowing moment of like, all right, I fucked up, like it was his turnaround. It was just so good. And yeah, Keith and Magath, dude, that was such a that's like one of the top moments of like this season, if not like, I don't know about the series, but it's definitely going to be a memorable moment for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's a great way for them to go out too. I see Nerd Chronic's comment in the comment section right now. He says that the guy who was banging on the glass when they were inside the ship, he's like,
that was some Looney Tune shit, because you see him walk by once and he's like, wait a minute.
Who's in there? What are y'all doing in there? That was hysterical.
But that's what it comes down to, in war is I'm think about just in real life, like how many things have happened inside every war, like where it was the actions of like one person or a few people, and they did something heroic that we might not ever know about, but it was like crucial to winning the war or like ending a conflict. And it always comes down to a very selfless act, and that's not something a lot of people are capable of. And
it really is kind of going back to, I think it was 2 episodes ago, where Hanji goes up to John and kind of does the whole like genocide is bad speech to them. But where she basically says it like, because John brings up the points of like, okay, after that, then what do we do? 3 years later, 4 years later, what do we do then after that? What happens to and he's bringing up all these points, and Hanji is like, none of that matters right now. Like she literally shuts him up, and she says like, we have to make the sacrifice for the rest of the world, even if we fail. Like even if we all die knowing that we gave up the sacrifice. So it kind of goes back to the idea of saying, even if we are not seen as heroes, and even if we fail in this thing, we still have to try. And that's what you could see this entire episode and these entire past few episodes of them trying to stop what Eren is doing, not because they're going to get anything out of it. If anything, they might even get ostracized or even destroyed out of it if the world decides to go that way. But they still have to do it because it's the right thing to do.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. I love the idea that that's where they're going, which is why I don't see the Jaegerist at all. I'm just like, no, I don't get it, bro.
Yeah.
You can't just live like that. On Capone said it like a couple episodes ago. You can't live knowing that you killed everyone and then you're proud of
Yeah,
yourself.
I just and that was I think it happened in that same episode where like you see them like there's essentially like a street festival going on and like people are just kind of back to normal, which
Yeah.
I understand after going through something so traumatic as that was like the point zero for the rumbling. Your city is destroyed, so like once the trouble leaves, I would kind of want to chill out and eat a pie too. But it was just crazy because like they're back to normal and rebuilding and I mean even in our world today there's some I mean you look at the Ukraine conflict and it's like it's one thing to like read about it and see it on social media, but like I'm in Indiana. It's so far removed from me that I have no perspective of like what's actually happening, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, no, I mean, it really is a crazy thing the way they describe it and the way it's broken down in this episode and the way the entire show is written. It's written so well to tell you how horrid and how horrible war is in general and how these
yeah.
deaths have so much effect on so many different people from around the world.
Hmm.
It's written so well. It really is remarkable. But
I
let's,
love it.
yeah, let's jump to the post-credit scene. So the post-credit scene
Oh, we
shows
almost missed it.
oh, you know what's funny, man? I kind of I don't know why, but as I was watching this episode and as I was winding down, I was like, this is one of those episodes that's gonna have a post-credit scene. I could feel it for some
Really?
reason. Yeah, I think it was because it was so action-packed that I was like, this is one of those episodes that's gonna have something
It's got to be
at the
something
end.
more. Yeah.
But we jump to it, which is Hanji telling Annie and the rest of the crew that Marley is pretty much wiped out. And then Annie breaks down and says that that's her only reason of fighting and that she's pretty much done for. And then tells again, Mikasa, she tells her again that to let her kill Eren. And if she can just do that, that'd be good enough. And then Hanji remarks that Magath gave his life not just for his country, but for the rest of the world, which is another really cool statement because it kind of shows you that he died kind of knowing that his country was gone, that his nation was done for, and he was dying not for his nation, but for everywhere else, which is a really cool quote from Hanji. But how'd you feel about that whole post-credit scene with Annie and Mikasa?
Yeah. Again, they just packed so much emotion into such a short amount of time. And I think about Annie's whole journey, man. I feel like she's had like one of the craziest journeys. I mean, she's been frozen for most of it, but
Frozen, yeah.
but aware. That was
Yeah.
interesting to find out that she was still aware of everything that was happening. But yeah, I mean, she's had a really emotional journey. Even back in the earlier seasons, you could tell like she didn't really want to be there. And I think we got some flashes of her father, and like we had an understanding that she had family that she wanted to kind of get back to. And it's sad, so she's just kind of a soldier just there because like she has to be. But I really like Annie. She's a really, but she's one of my favorite characters, and just to see her break down. And I think, yeah, I think Marquetta said it in the discussion. Like the audience ends up feeling like what she felt like. She was just like, "I'm just done. I don't want to fight anymore. I just want this to be done."
Yeah.
So that's kind of
Seriously.
what this show makes you feel like. But again, that's a really important question for her to ask Mikasa because like that is what it's gonna come down to, man. I just feel like that's what it's gonna come down to. It has to come down to Mikasa and Eren.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a great scene. So much emotion in such little time.
Yeah, that's the most emotional I think we've seen Annie get like ever,
Yeah, like
which was
I don't think we've ever seen her like just straight up break down like that.
yeah. She was straight up like completely
Just
broken down. Um,
exhausted. I mean, that would be crazy, man. I mean, like, yeah, I wouldn't. It's like fuck. I don't want. I don't think I would want to do anything either. But
oh, I'd be done. Yeah, I'd
it's
be so
crazy that
done.
they're talking about these places being wiped out, and it's just happening off screen right now. So it's kind of um it's kind of haunting in that sense because it is happening off screen. Like it's happening right now. Every second that goes by, it's happening.
Yeah.
And it's more haunting that they don't show it, you know?
Yeah, that's why I love the episode. I think it was 3 episodes ago where John and Mikasa can't go to sleep. And
Yeah.
I just felt like that was like the weight they were holding, where they really did feel like everyone in the world has to die because of 5 people. Like
Mhm.
literally just me, John, and like a couple other people that Aaron said that he's going to kill all the world just for you guys.
Mhm.
I can't hold that responsibility on me, man.
Yeah.
Like I would be like, no, I can't do this.
Yeah, I love the development all these, like, kinda side characters are getting, like, they've become,
Yeah.
like, very, very prominent part of the story. I never thought Connie would be where he's at today, like, he just when we started this journey, he was a fairly minor character, so it's just crazy. It's crazy to see who survived up to the end game now, and
John too. To me, John is the one that really kind of blew up. I think John is like the next like big thing, the next leader that could kind
yeah.
of lead everyone out, which is remarkable.
He's been one of my favorites ever since I think it was in season 1. I'm pretty sure it was John, but where he, like, rubs his hand on
That's
Aaron, he's
John,
like,
yeah.
"What did you wipe on me?" "My faith in humanity."
Yeah. That was he did it to Connie, but yeah, that
I
was
I remember just absolutely losing it when I saw when he said that line for the first time, I just died laughing. I was like, "What? That's so random." That was the most random thing.
yeah. John is he's the homie, man. I love John. He's definitely my favorite character left alive right now. It was Erwin
Oh,
before,
man.
but John is now. He's definitely my
Yeah.
favorite. But I just feel like everything they're setting up is kind of insane, which kind of leads me to what you were saying, like as far as everything being off screen. I keep going back to the last time we saw Liberia, which was Annie's dad leading what looked like an overthrowing or almost even like a revolution
Mhm.
with
Yeah.
everyone in Liberia trying to break out. Because Annie's dad is a badass, so I still don't think he got shot. I think
Mm.
he probably dodged it and did some martial art moves because he's supposed to be like a super crazy martial artist.
Mm.
So I think he led all those freaking Eldians out of there. And
Maybe they got out of there and they're
I
still
think
alive?
so. I
I
really
could see
think
that.
so.
I could see that because that would be kind of poetic too. Just to like Annie's kind of worried about her dad, and her dad's kind
Yeah.
of. It would be cool to see them reunite. I mean, either way, it works emotionally. If they get to reunite, it's kind of poetic, and kind of completes her arc. And if he is dead, then it just adds to the tragedy, which.
Well, kind of going to your rule of TV, it's the idea like we didn't see him die on screen, and
Right.
we know that that same episode or the episode after, we see him be like a crazy martial artist from another country.
Hmm.
So I feel like he did some moves
I can
there
see that. I
and
think
led like a revolution to break everyone out of there.
yeah, I think I'm
So
agreeing with you.
it's just a theory that I had after watching this episode where I kept saying, like, why did they not show it? Like maybe something is happening around the world where they're getting to safety or something that we're not expecting.
I mean, the whole world should know what's happening at this point. So I'm sure people are, getting out of Dodge for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I definitely have in mind. But everything else is from the preview. Did you see the preview for next episode?
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
So the preview was just Aaron and Zeke talking,
Yeah,
and I was
that's
like,
right.
"That's not the finale. There's no way."
There's no way, man.
Yeah.
There's no way.
So
I'm fine with that. I mean, what if it is though? What if it is? Because there is that possibility. What if it is?
it'd be funny, but I'd definitely be upset. I would
I think
definitely
yeah, because there's too much. There's too
too
much to
much.
cover in 25, like 23 minutes, man. There's just way too much.
Yeah,
Unless it's gonna be like an extended episode. Like, what if they hit us with like the last episode was like an hour and a half long.
yeah,
Then
like
I
a movie
then I
episode.
think yeah, then I think they could wrap things up maybe.
Yeah, they've done
Uh,
that before with other shows. Like, I mean, Game of Thrones used to do that back in the day, like an extended,
right.
longer episode, stuff like that. They
Yeah.
could do that for sure. I just don't think they will because it
Yeah.
feels like there's a lot more there and not just, an hour worth, maybe even
Yeah,
more.
I read some of the comments sometimes, so it's like people are saying there's still like 10 chapters to adapt.
It's
So
a
I'm
lot.
like, that's a lot, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
the one thing I have to point out though is that it's not next week. So next week is no episode next week, I believe. I think
Oh,
that's what
really?
they announced. Yeah, at least that's what I heard. I'm sure someone in the chat will correct me, but
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure they're taking the week off next week, and
Oh,
it's the first
man.
week of April for the finale of the season, which is even more interesting. They don't want to compete with the Oscars. The Oscars
Oh,
is next week. No, I'm kidding. I don't even know if that's what it is, but
okay. Yeah, I was
uh,
like, I don't think
I
the
don't think they
Oscars
care.
get that kind of viewership. Yeah.
No, they're not. But they're not doing it next week, I believe. But the final episode is the first week
Okay.
of April. And now the question becomes, do we get a movie? Do you think we're getting a movie?
Yeah, that's kind of what people in chat are saying. They're saying like movie or season 4 part 3. I would be
Yo,
fine with either. I would kind of, if there is a significant amount of story left to tell, I would rather prefer a part 3 because I've
yes.
we're gonna ultimately get more time than a movie. But like, I mean, they've been pretty good with like condensing the manga and
Yeah.
like hitting the. It seems like the fandom every time they've seen a season, they're like, "Wow, they cut a lot out," but it was like pretty seamless, so it still kind of works. So they're good at condensing the story. So I do trust them to make like a good movie. But I just, are they going to be able to cover everything? Like I don't even know what's left. All I know is like there's a lot left. So I'm just like that. I'm also thinking like what else could be left? Like we're in the end game. Like I
Yeah.
don't know how there's like 10 chapters worth of shit left. Like um I would prefer a part 3, but man, if we get like a nice sexy movie budget like ending, that would be pretty epic too.
I definitely, what I would prefer is definitely a part 3. I think that would be the best decision based on two things. Like you said, you can deal with the pacing as far as they don't have to rush, whereas in a movie they want to be, tighter as far as runtime goes. And then the second thing for me would be distribution, release, right?
Hmm.
Where the problem with the movie is that it's gonna take forever to reach the states. So it's
Yeah.
gonna be out in Japan for a year before it actually gets to the US.
Oh
Because
no,
that's what
yeah.
anime movies, that's what they do. That's what happens.
Thank God for VPNs. Like
Yeah, but
not
it's one
gonna
of those
wait.
things.
Not gonna wait for that one.
Yeah, where like the Jujutsu Kaisen movie, it came out like forever ago in Japan, but it's
Yeah.
just now coming out literally this weekend.
Yeah, same with
Uh,
Demon Slayer. Yeah, it
Same
takes
with
so
Demon
long
Slayer,
for things to hit. Yeah. I
and
think
same
it's
with
just like maybe they're working on subtitles or dubs or I don't know.
yeah,
It's always something.
it's definitely something, but I definitely feel like that is the biggest reason why I'm like, I don't know if I can wait that long. But also, the second thing I want to say is after the weekend box office that Mappa had for Jujutsu Kaisen, I think they're literally like Azuma Bito licking their lips, like we can make a lot of money if we make a
Right?
movie though. Like
Right?
literally, like they're like, oh, movie money though.
It is
So
cool to see anime movies like hitting these kinds of benchmarks because
yeah.
it's just like it's just showing that it's the popularity of anime is becoming a little bit more widely accepted. It's not such a niche thing anymore. Like the anime crowd is much bigger now. It's widely accepted across all kinds of personalities.
Yeah, it's kind of remarkable. I was reading a couple articles in a New Wire and a couple other news sources saying that based off the marketing and based off the press releases that Jujutsu Kaisen had, it is one of the biggest openings that you can possibly get out of like basically like no, you know, kind of commercials or marketing on like major platforms.
Yeah,
So getting like an almost $20 million weekend out of like almost no promotion, just pure fandom is
right.
just insane. And making
Yeah.
it, and the fact that it is in Japanese too is even more insane. So I really do feel like they're like, yo, movie's gonna make us a lot of money. Like there's no one who's gonna
Oh,
be
this one for sure. Yeah.
Attack on
And
Titan.
th-
Like,
and this
yeah,
is one of those shows where it's so good. Like I go out of my way to tell people about it. Like if I have friends that haven't seen it, I'm like, dude, I don't care if I'm being annoying right now. You got it. You have to. This
yeah.
is this is a must watch show. Like it just is.
Yeah, that's why I feel like maybe they're probably going to lean towards a
A movie,
movie.
hey, that'd be
Yeah.
amazing. Movie budget finale for this story. My
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll definitely be epic for sure. But before we go, any theories as far as how do you think it's going to end? I'm sure
See
you have
that
a few.
I don't actually,
Yeah.
man. This show is so wild. Like from season 1 to where I'm at, like it's I remember when the basement was like the biggest deal. You know, that's the only thing we didn't like. What's in the basement? That's the only thing I cared about. And now it's like, who cares about the basement? It's like the story expanded so much, and there's just no way to predict where it would have gone. Like what a like I would never imagine we'd be here. You know, because as the show went on, more questions popped up, and I was like, there's no way they're going to answer everything and have it like coherently make sense. This is such a wild show. There's no way this is going to come together. And then it does in a matter of like a few episodes. And you're like, you know, it's just one of those shows where I'm just like, it feels like a roller coaster. I'm just along for the ride. I think the only prediction is I just like it's just obvious that like that final moment, that climactic moment, it's got to be Aaron and Mikasa. I think the show has been kind of centered around them the whole time, so it just feels poetic that's what it would be.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it definitely is going to be quite an epic. I mean, it has to be kind of epic considering that Aaron is a giant skeleton whale. I
Mhm.
don't even know what he is right now, but I'm sure they're going to like drop down like freaking Godzilla 2014 style
Mhm.
onto Aaron. And then
Yeah,
from
I
there,
don't think it's gonna be a happy ending. I think a
yeah, of
lot more characters are gonna die.
course.
I if I'm to predict, so like this ragtag team, I think we're gonna lose people trying to
Yes.
push the team forward, kind of like
Mm,
Magath did. I feel like people
mm.
are gonna have to make sacrifices to push the next person forward, and I think Mikasa is gonna be the final one to reach Aaron,
Who
maybe
do you think is the first one to go?
to go
I
between
think
who.
it's an easy one.
Who do you think?
I think it's the guy who wants to go, Reiner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
he's gonna pull a huge
Yeah.
sacrifice, badass move, and he's
As
gonna
the
go
attack titan.
out in like a blaze of glory.
I could see that, and he
Yeah,
deserves it, you know.
yeah,
Like, but yeah, he's man. All the characters are just so good.
yeah,
Everything is just so well written and so tightly written.
yeah. It really is, and obviously this episode was another great one. So I'm super pumped. Fact check me on the next week because I don't know. I don't want to lead you astray, but I feel like that's what I read somewhere. As far
Yeah.
as next week goes, but I appreciate you coming by, man. Where can everyone find you?
Oh well, I mean, you know, obviously follow us at the Normies on all the social medias. You can follow me personally at Mikutsky on Instagram. But yeah, just look up the Normies on any social media. We're on Twitch, so yeah, we're
Do you have
everywhere.
a Twitter, man?
I do. It's oh god, I don't use it very much.
Gotcha.
I think just look up my name, you'll find it. I think it's like at Mouse Mickey or something like that.
It's Mickey. Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal, man. What are you guys reacting to right now? Anything major that you want to shout out? Or fun?
Anything major? I mean,
Or a good news show that you're watching?
a good news show. Oh yeah, check out our Buffy the Vampire. You know, we started Buffy the Vampire. It's on
You've never
Patreon.
seen Buffy?
We never seen it, yeah.
What?
And that's one that our fans like have been wanting for like a very long time. So it's we've started it. It's on Patreon, but it'll be releasing on YouTube soon. So yeah,
Wow.
check out
I
Buffy.
I grew up with Buffy, man. Buffy was
It's we're like
yeah.
maybe 3-4 episodes in. It is instantly one of my favorite reactions to look forward to. It's so fun, and it's just like a 90s time
Yeah.
bomb, you know. It's
It
just
really is.
it's so goofy. You know, but it's in a good way, in an endearing way. You know, we're having a lot of fun with the show. It's definitely going to be, I think, a big reaction on our channel for sure.
That's amazing. Yeah, it gets better every season too, all the way up to I think season 5 is like one of my favorite seasons, but
Yeah,
it
it's
really
super.
does get better.
Yeah,
Obviously, go check that out. Go check out Mickey and the rest of the normies. They're great over at their YouTube channel and on social media as well. You could follow me at Squad Leader Ace and follow us at First Cut TMO. Leave us a comment, leave us a like, do all that good stuff down below. We appreciate you guys watching live. Either way, guys, for the Attack on Titan crew, we're going to be peacing out. So peace.